Everyone. This is Munal Jabri coming to you live from Trends Research and Advisory. Before we begin this discussion, on behalf of Dr. Muhammad Al Ali, Chairman of the Board and the CEO of Trends Research and Advisory, I would like to welcome our key speakers who will be discussing global technology development, future prospects, and impact aspects. Recent decades have seen a dramatically acceleration pace in the development and adoption of new global technologies. Our world has been transformed by the growing impact of technology across all dimensions of life, such as social, economic, political, and of course, personal. Above anything else, technological innovation represents a significant opportunity to build a better and more sustainable future for all. It can help achieve energy efficiency, build better, more resilient healthcare systems, and ensure the empowerment, inclusion, and equality of all people and societies. At the same time, rapid technological change poses new changes for policymakers and societies. Automation could have a negative impact on employment and productivity. Rapid technological change also has the potential to disrupt economic development, perpetual existing divides among and between countries, and lead to increased international competition. In this regard, today's e-symposium aims to discuss and examine the various opportunities, risks, and challenges brought about by rapid technological change. To discuss this, I'm delighted to be joined today by Professor Mu'taz Al-Nuzayhi, specializing in computer science, and he is special advisor to the president at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. Professor Mu'taz will be discussing the role of technological developments in the future of global energy. Welcome to this session, Professor, and please, the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the kind introduction. I am going to give a short talk about some of the challenges that the future development of the information technology is going to affect energy consumption going forward. I will try to see if I could share my presentation here. Sounds like there is a problem. For some reason, I'm unable to share. I don't know if it's from your side or from my side.
Professor, could you try again?
I'll try again. Sounds like I have a technical problem. Maybe you want to start with one of the other two speakers until I solve my problem?
Sure, Professor. We'll move on to our next speaker. So Dr. Ivan V. Danielin, Head of Department of Science and Innovation at Primavok National Research Institute of World Economy and International Relations in Russia. Welcome, Dr. Ivan. Dr. Ivan will be shedding some light on the impact of technology on the global balance of power.
Dear all, first of all, good morning or other parts of the day for the other regions of the world. And thank you for the invitation. Let me try to share the screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Sorry, this is not what actually I supposed to show you. Just a moment. Here is it. Let me now speak about the impact of technology on the global power balance. Actually, this is a relatively new area of research, considering at least some of the aspects of this problem, considering the recent US-China technology war and some other developments in the geopolitics of emerging technologies. So, speaking generally, historically, the high-tech area was for most of the post-bipolar world more or less immune of the different geopolitical factors. But now it is different, and one of the reasons for that, this is the new technological revolution that is now in sight. So we see how emerging technologies affect different power factors, especially economy of force, as well as hard power. So just to name the few, we see how advanced manufacturing threatens the global value chains, which affect the positions of countries like China or other developing nations. New energy technologies, which is the case for Russia and I guess for the Arab countries, are shifting power from oil and gas exporting nations, while the service and industrial robotics development we can see as they create new global productivity gap, which is very important for the catching up nations. So these and other factors create multiple power balance challenges, which should be taken into account when we discuss different issues related to the global order, the development of the international systems, and other issues for the discussion. So at the forefront of these developments are the digital technologies, which are in the core of the new technological revolutions and are most important factors when we're speaking about the new power balance. So taking different academic studies of what is power, and this is quite solid piece of the international literature, be it structuralists or realist research, we can see that the digital technologies are affecting almost all forms of power that researchers identify, analyzing the global and internal policy. So it is all institutional one, for example. So how the technologies shape the platforms or the basis of the different international communication and power relations. This is structural, how different states are positioned toward each other. This is compulsory, which is much more seen in the hard power issues. And of course, this is productive, everything that relates to values, visions, and so on. So we see here not only high securitization, weaponization, and what may be called geopolitization of different digital technologies, which is perfectly seen in the artificial intelligence issue, but also rising objective and subjective importance of all these digital developments for the international politics and international order, which creates the situation ironically named by some researchers as the global race for AI, for cloud computing, for other new advanced digital technologies, as well as for the soft and smart power. So what we see now is possibly the first glimpse of how digital tech would restructure the global order and challenge the current power balance. So like Thucydides' threat or technology uncertainty concepts, the catching up of China in different advanced emerging digital technology issues now create what may be called the technological war, as I mentioned earlier, as well as creating geotechnical blocks or balkanization of digital space. We can see in the efforts of the European Union to create so-called digital sovereignty, a kind of both independence from the United States and China in the digital issue, and repositioning EU as a new global player also in this area as an important part of global power. We can see China's digital Belt and Road initiative, as well as its active standardization policy in 5G, and of course, very active, sometimes maybe called even aggressive, sorry for saying that, US response for this new challenge of the opponent state. As for now, it is still unclear, would this Hobbesian picture of the war of everybody against everybody a long-term story, or we'll see a kind of a moderate normalization, like a Cold War after 1950s between the Soviet Union and the United States, but now in the digital space, or there would be a kind of a new normalcy after some kind of renegotiation of global digital world order between the key actors of this new power play. But we see now real threats and real challenge for both, once again, global power balance, as well as for the middle income, middle-sized economy and developing nations, especially for the digital have-nots, which is, of course, as we saw it in the colonial past and in some processes of 1960s, 1970s, creating multiple challenge for the stability of global order and for the construction of a new, more democratic and more just international relations. Another aspect of the global power is the digital monopolies, like so-called FAMGA, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Apple, and BATG. This stands for Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, JD.com, and some other rising Chinese digital tech monopolists, will appear in the last decade as one of the primary actors in the digital economy, as one of the most fastest growing technology companies ever. So just to name some figures, so currently the research and development is almost 11% of the 2,500 biggest global companies. So this stock capitalization is about 9% by some calculations of the global stock market. The key investors in digital unicorns and some most advanced technologies like AI, so that even Pentagon is forced to cooperate with Amazon, Microsoft on issues like UAVs, cloud computing, and so on. And the expanding ecosystem and market power, as we can see by the issues of the Cambridge Analytica, as recent political debates in the United States, as well as recent Chinese conflicts with Alibaba and other companies, are now growing so fast that even political elites are much concerned about this new, both global and internal power of these companies. So they appear to be also in the center of the international conflicts, both affecting the power structures and power capabilities of the states of origin, as well as becoming the objects of attack in the new technological war, as we see it both for the United States, assaults on the Alibaba, TikTok, and other Chinese services, and in the recent conflict between China and India. So the issue of political reactions to the rising power and cloud of these monopolies appear to be also one of the important factor for the future power balance globally. And if you may remember, in 1990s, there was a huge discussion in the global academic and analytical research centers and institutions about the new role of the non-state actors. And now the power of digital monopolies reinforce this issue for both practitioners and academic and analytical discussions. So the most visible sign of it is, once again, these digital sovereignty issues, both de jure in the EU and de facto in China, United States, Russia, and some other countries of the world. So once again, there is several open questions about how the digital monopolies will be rearticulated in the new global power balance. So of course, what we see from here and now, this is the real role in creating new institutional power, because the platforms of digital, rephrasing some realist ramification about different other issues, are the platforms for the projecting of power. Other issues is the role of future economic competition, considering the innovation power and innovation capabilities, which became more and more important also as the factor of the superpowers competition. So let me here just accent one thing, that in recent China and US contradictions, this was the first time ever that digital commercial technologies appeared to be in the center of this conflict, and became much more important than, for example, tariff or other issues in the trade war. Also, there is a challenge of privatization of international digital policy, once again considering the power of these platforms and companies. Getting to the end, there is also a new realm of digital economy, which is much beyond power and powers. So there is a new generation rising globally, which is considering both politics and life in from the very different points of view. And so there's new values, new cultures, and new political activism appearing, and we can see it in almost all countries of the world. But not less important is the fact that in the new economy, knowledgeable economy, digital economy, things like comfort of life, new social contract between the society and the government, human capital formation, appear to be once again an important power factor. We all know the importance of soft power of different, for example, northern European states, or for example, India's active efforts to promote inclusive development as an important part of the soft power. So once again, this is just a dawn of a new era, and the digital technology empower new actors to use the digital capabilities, institutions, and cultures to gain much more clout globally than they have when compared to the hard power, for example, or even the economic state. Finally, considering all these issues that I tried to highlight here, there are multiple challenges for the new balance of power that both analytic and academic community, as well as decision makers, should take into the account. The most obvious issue, considering the current state of international affairs, is the new, let me say, rules of the game, new norms of international political and economic competition, which may be, as a metaphor, called the reconstructing of United Nations, or WTO, for the digital era. But this is just the first step. Much more important issue is the preparing of our societies for the new digital competition and for the new digital power changes. One issue is the preparing elites for the digital future. It appears to be shocking, but if we'll look through all the efforts made by the current political elites globally, especially this is true for the superpowers, we may see that the old leaders are surprisingly unprepared for the digital competition of the future. I can see it here from Russia, even from the policy of my country, as well as for the United States and China, which are still looking at digital only through the hard power lenses, which is definitely just a piece of the picture. And this new education of the new leaders also should tackle the problem, which I try to rephrase in the dilemma of the smart systems versus stupid people. we are all looking at this digital future either in a techno-optimistic point of view or through the high securitization of this issue. None of these issues are true, as we all see, for both economic and real political consequences, and we should be very much prepared for both different white or black swans, gray rhinos, and other challenges of digital tomorrow. An important part in my eyes is the preparation and formation of the human capital for the digital era. When we're speaking about the global power balance, we always say about the nation state, sometimes about digital monopolies, but always forget about the human beings, which are also subject of the international system. And this is especially true for the digital economies. I'm not speaking about, for example, hacktivism or hacker attacks. These challenges are really serious, but they are not the most important. So we see the 7 billion of the global population, once again, always also extremely unprepared for the digital economy, but very active in discussing their own future, where digital power balance should play an important role. Finally, I guess there is time also to discuss, like it was in 1960s, in a very different era, in a very different state of international relation, but in the same gap between the most developed and developing nations, about global democracy and preparing the future other than digital big brother or digital hierarchies, and preventing a digital have-not crisis. So we once again all remember that have-nots are the possible source of destabilization, and this was very much seen in, for example, 1980s, 1990s. For example, it was very good described in Mr. Rashid books about the Taliban, about the different extreme jihadi movements, which were sourced not only about in some radical changes of ideologies, but because of social, economic, and political crisis and disappointments of much groups of people in the current world order. So this should be tackled if we don't want to see our future antagonized and confrontational, but much more harmonic and human-centric. Thank you.
Ivan, for your contribution. Professor Mu'taz, are we ready for your presentation? You're still on mute, Professor.
Thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Excellent, excellent. So let me thank everybody for inviting me and greeting the audience. I'd like to pick up from where Dr. Ivan left off in his call for global harmony, because what I'm going to be presenting now is a rather different angle to the impact of information technology on the future. And that impact actually, while Dr. Ivan was very eloquent in showing how the competition can be harmful going forward, I will argue and emphasize actually that global cooperation actually is needed in order to avert some of the unforeseen problems that the information technology is going to bring to us. And I would like to apologize. I am a technologist at heart, so I am taking a very technology-centric approach to my talk, but I hope that I will be able to convey to you my the point that I'm trying to get across. Now, where are we today? I want to look back more than 150 years ago. The Industrial Revolution started, and over the 150 years or so that since then, there have been tremendous investments in building a fossil fuel-based economy that for good or for bad, has created unprecedented prosperity and enabled tremendous advances for the human race beyond any phase in our collective history. But today, we are also facing some of the negative impact of the use of fossil fuel in the form of climate change and environmental impact that are really posing an existential crisis for the human race. If you really go into the science that actually monitors the environment, you will see that we have an increase in the frequency of droughts, wildfires, unprecedented temperature rises across the globe. And on the figure that you see in front of you right now, I am showing that even today, as we speak, fossil fuels continue to be growing in terms of use, and they have the lion's share of the energy sources that the human race actually deploy today. And even when we see today that there is a new movement toward renewables, a lot of scientists do not predict that renewables will replace fossil fuels completely before at least 100 years from now. And after tremendous investments that there might not be political will to do throughout the world. So the picture actually tells a big story, because even though the fossil fuel share is declining from the bigger pie in nominal value and in carbon dioxide emission and methane emission, the rise actually continues to be almost exponential. If you look at it from 20 years intervals. And this existential crisis, requires that all the people in the world come together, because we share the planet, even though we are usually cast in terms of competition, like Dr. Ivan mentioned, for example, how AI is going to be a new field of competition and perhaps even warfare, cybersecurity, and all of these issues are going to impact our future. What I would like to talk to you about today is what is the impact of the information technology on the energy consumption going forward. If you really see where things are, depending on, there are predictions that the IT will eat anywhere between 8% to 21% of the global electricity consumption by 2030, which is about 9 years from now. This is considerable, given that up until 2014, IT was only about 2% of the global electricity usage. Today, some people estimate that it is somewhere between 3 to 4%, and it is growing. And as the previous speaker, Dr. Ivan, showed, that there will be always newcomers as more and more countries enter into the digital economy. You should expect actually that this consumption is going to be more on the higher side. Now, you see that there are interesting trends going forward in terms of networking, AI, cybersecurity, the migration to cloud computing. All of these have costs that are not really factored into the economic equation today. Let me elaborate on this point a little bit. I believe that the fossil fuel economy has a huge distortion when it comes to the pricing of energy versus the cost of energy. The pricing of energy is governed by market supply and demand, which does not include into the price the actual cost of the carbon emissions that are going to cause droughts, affect the agriculture cycle, affect the general health of the population, and potentially alter the weather patterns that we have relied on for millennia to produce food. Now, I am arguing that as long as this distortion, where the cost of energy is made artificially low, the motivation to really be careful about the usage of energy is not going to be there. And there has to be a major international effort in figuring out how to change the economic equation, change the market equations that govern fossil fuels, so that this artificial subsidy, by eliminating the cost of the consequences of the use of fossil energy, has to be factored into the equation so that people will actually pay the price of the energy in a manner that would account for the negative effect of that. Now, let's look at what is going on in IT today. We're moving into cloud computing. What does this mean? Cloud computing means proliferation of data centers, and these data centers will have tremendous heat concentration. I'll give you an example. At Oak Ridge Laboratory in the United States, the data center that is serving the scientific community in the United States is slated at somewhere between 30 to 40 megawatt. Just imagine how much heat is concentrated in such a small area that need to be extracted out, and this adds to the energy consumption equation. The fact that you are concentrating computing into data center means more data movement. And we do not think about data movement in terms of energy consumption, but these are physical entities. When you are sending a movie from one place to another, this is really a mechanical operation that consumes a lot of energy. And you have to really factor this in. Artificial intelligence. We talk a lot about artificial intelligence today and how this is going to be the revolution of the next decade. But the reality is that if you really look at the current algorithms, they are irresponsibly energy inefficient. You just add more and more processing power to do things that are done in such a way that it is so inefficient. I'll give you an example. The human brain actually can recognize the face of a human being using about 20 watts. For a computer to do this, it requires multi-kilowatts. So we're talking about three orders of magnitude in terms of the difference between what humans do with their brains, which has been evolving for, I don't know, billions of years or millions of years, and the current algorithms of artificial intelligence. And the problem in the computer science community where I come from is that there is no attention whatsoever is given to the cost of these algorithms, because it is cheap to deploy these algorithms, because people do not really pay the actual cost of the energy. They just pay a much lower price that is caused by a distortion of the economic equation. Cryptocurrencies, that's another one that is currently really threatening a huge revolution going forward. And the cryptocurrencies, if you look at how Bitcoin or Ethereum are being done, I say that is knowingly irresponsible in terms of the energy consumption. And I'm telling you, double the price of electricity, and there will be no cryptocurrencies as we know them today. It will just disappear. And then we also have the growth of 5G and increasing the number of usage. And of course, I am not arguing that we should really stop progress. But on the other hand, the IT industry really needs to start paying serious attention to the energy consumption and the consequences of these technologies and work very hard on developing new technologies, new algorithms that are going to be more energy efficient. And at the same time, the actual cost of these technologies have to be factored in the operation. And let me give you an idea about this disconnect between the value and cost. If you take about 800 watts, you can use it to watch 1 hour movie on Netflix, or you could move an electric car for about 4 kilometers, or you could have a light bulb go on for about a month continuously, or you could actually use it to mine a very small fraction of a Bitcoin. Now, if you look at these 4 items, they have essentially the same energy budget, but they may actually produce different values to the society. The light bulb, for example, may enable a student to study at night. The car may enable somebody to go to work. Bitcoin, I don't know what it enables, but it is really something that consumes a lot of electricity, and it's not clear to me what is the societal value of that. Entertainment with Netflix using on demand brings a new paradigm in entertainment, but at a much, much higher cost, much higher hidden cost than was done before when we used, say, broadcasting systems or movie theaters or what have you. So what can we do here? Well, we have to really, and this is something that requires international collaboration, that the cost of energy has to factor in the actual cost of carbon sequestration and the potential technologies that are needed to rebalance the carbon balance in the atmosphere. If you do that, then we are going to start seeing behaviors that are going to be more responsible, more aware of the impact that they are having on the environment. And also, the purpose must be linked. I personally believe that cryptocurrencies that are really eating huge amounts of energy is socially irresponsible and a waste of very important resources. And it brings the issues that Dr. Ivan talked about, like the difference between the have and the have-nots. You have the haves are mining cryptocurrencies that do not have a clear value, in my opinion, versus, and the people who might actually be paying the price for this are the farmers in Africa who, because of the droughts, are forced to migrate north to Europe and elsewhere. IT professionals need to really change their attitude. It's no longer a free ride. We have to understand that when we talk about artificial intelligence, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, when we talk about all these wonderful applications, 5G and so on, we have to really embed energy consciousness into the minds of the IT professionals. It has to factor into the education, the economies of things. Without this, we are going to be seeing exponential growth in energy consumption that, for the foreseeable future at least, is going to be supplied by fossil fuels that are going to exacerbate the environmental problem that we are about to face worldwide. So with this, I'd like to thank the audience, and hopefully this call for global cooperation and fixing the distortions in the market and becoming more energy conscious and more conscious about the impact of what we do should at least trigger some interesting thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Martes. Thank you for that intriguing discussion, something for our viewers to ponder on. Let us now move on to our final speaker. I would like to welcome Dr. Ubaid Saleh Al-Mukhtar. He is the researcher and academic in information technology and cybercrime from the United Arab Emirates. Dr. Ubaid will be discussing the future of technological development. Where is the world going? So Dr. Ubaid, please enlighten us. Where is the world going? Tafadhal.
In In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, I thank you very much for this invitation. I thank Trends Research and Advisory, and I would like to thank all the colleagues who are following us in this seminar. As the colleagues said, the economy of the world necessitates a cooperation and a balance between all of us. I would like to focus in my presentation on the social security, societal security as well, how people look at the technological development, what is new for them, or people now happy as they were 10 years ago when we saw the technology and it was attractive, and when we saw the internet, the rapid communication and the social communication and the social media, etc. I am sure that people who have been harassed in social media, in the internet, and also those who experienced some problems uh, had bad stories to share with us. I would like to say that the companies which lead the world toward technology, or companies that have big influence and also media influence and dominate a number of applications that touch the daily life of the human being, the ordinary human being. And also now there are a government and states, and they have windows on this website and the social media sites. So the gathering of these applications of many companies lead us to say that there are many emerging problems. These companies now they are changing their policies, as we saw UK exit the European Union. There are changes in the policies of the social media companies in the United States after the elections. At the same time, we see that there are accusations against some companies because of some rulings that have been issued. So, as a citizen in any of these countries in which there are applications, this feeling is different compared to what was the case when this technology emerged 10 years before. Uh, Also, there are smart devices, and some people are concerned. We all remember when COVID 19 started hitting the world, research centers started to talk about the vaccine, and many people started to discuss whether there is a conspiracy against the humanity, whether there is really a vaccine. So there were a lot of information and misinformation. I am sure that people who were sharing this information about the vaccine, they brought this information from this social media and this website. And I am sure that vaccine of COVID 19 is efficient, and we know that COVID 19 is real. And I'm seeing that this technology lead people to concluding falsely that this is a conspiracy. This was brought to them by the internet and this technology. It's why I'm saying that because of this technology, there is less trust in technology. Maybe the technology is innocent, but who is using this technology? Who is consuming it? Of course, the ordinary people. The other point I would like to talk about is, for instance, the cartoons and the series and the fiction that are displayed. All of them, they talk about robots. Now, there are different robotic uses in the banks, in the ATM, in the restaurant, etc. We hear several assurances that state that the robot will never replace the human being. Who is repeating this statement, of course, is trying to assure that there will be no threat to the humans. But at the same time, people are seeing that this advancement in robotics is happening at the expense of the human work and the human action. We saw that a lot of jobs have been replaced by the robotic work and not the humans. So, what will happen after replacing many jobs by the automation and the robots? Of course, what will happen? The companies will continue focusing on multiplying their revenues. In 2030, there will be more than 1 billion people unemployed. That's a big number, and this is due to the robotics, the automation, etc. So, the humans now are looking skeptically and negatively at this innovation and this automation. I do believe that the government can play a role here. They can work together with the automation and the robotic companies in order to narrow the gap and to take calculated decisions. The fourth point I would like to share with you is the quantum devices, the 5G, the 6G. There are applications in the UAE and other countries which have advanced infrastructure. Look at the speed of this 5G. What is the impact of these speeds? Can the world change all their infrastructures to be in line with the 5G? Of course, there are some entities which will remain unable to cope with this rhythm and to adopt the 5G infrastructure. And I'm sure that there are some challenges regarding the encrypting of codes, etc. And of course, if we look at the speed in several devices and computers, there is unbelievable speed. There will be a qualitative shift in the pattern of processing the information, but the security of this information, especially on those who cannot cope with this speed, will be considerable. The fifth point I would like to mention is the different projects throughout the world. There is Tesla, there is Google, and other companies and enterprises which talk about the driverless car, and that some experiences were conducted in the United States. But from time to time, we hear that there is failure in some of these experiences. We ask the question now in our society: what are the algorithms that are being used? Can these algorithms ensure the lives of people, the pedestrians who are crossing the street? And all the companies, they keep their technical secrets, but are these algorithms safe enough to protect the citizens of the globe? We see some assurances, but the reality is different. There was an accident by a Tesla car, which is leading in this area. There are people who passed away because of this accident. I think that these algorithms should be subject to international approval, like the nuclear weapon, like any other threat, and these should be subject to approvals really internationally. Because who is guaranteeing to us that a driverless car will stop when a person is crossing? When I am crossing, how can I feel safe when I see myself surrounded by driverless cars? So we should ask these questions and find the answers before allowing these driverless cars to drive in our streets. Point number 6 is the cryptocurrencies. A lot of hidden items are surrounding the cryptocurrencies. The person who is issuing the cryptocurrency is unknown, and a lot of unknowns are surrounding the cryptocurrency consumption. Millions of megawatts will be consumed when the bitcoins and the cryptocurrencies will be manufactured. And as my colleague said earlier, who is benefiting from this? There are 10 people benefiting from this, but who is paying the price? People who are in poor countries, the farmers in Africa, in Asia, and in different developing countries. Point number 7, the artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is not only a bridge that is safe and leads us to a better world. We have to talk about the ethics of the artificial intelligence. Will this artificial intelligence lead us to be in line with the ethics of the humanity, to prevent any aggression and aggressivity against each other? What are the assurances that we get? I call upon all the audiences through this e-symposium that these systems are controlled by international systems and are governed. There should be a governance governing this artificial intelligence. Who is guaranteeing to me that artificial intelligence doesn't include some gaps, some tools, some keys that can be misused by some malign entities against the peoples, against the different communities? Who is guaranteeing to me that these companies will not misuse that at the expense of the security of communities? The last point I would like to share with you is data. Yesterday, a Zoom company which rescued the world during COVID-19 pandemic, there was a ruling in the court of $85 million dollars against it because there was a leak for the content of some meetings to some high tech and big companies. So I think that our data and our content is not the property of this company. And of course, these are data and they belong to the people who are using that. This company cannot keep our data. I call upon international entities to play their roles in order to retain the privacy of the users and not allow the high-tech and the big tech companies to misuse the data for commercial purposes. Of course, when a gigantic company grows a lot, it starts to misuse somehow the data of the people. Of course, $85 million is nothing for a high-tech like Zoom and some companies, but the harm is already there. People have been affected by violating their privacy. It's why I reiterate that we need governing entities at the international arena in order to have a safer life. Thank you very much for your attention, and I thank all the colleagues. Thank you.
Shukran, Dr. Ubaid. Thank you for that amazing information that you have shared with us. We'll be now moving on to our open discussion. We have 10 to 15 minutes to spare, and I have a list of questions from our viewers today from these amazing topics that you have all discussed. So my first question from one of our viewers is for Dr. Ubaid. The question is, how will or how might violent extremists and criminals make use of technology in the future? What can be done to mitigate the use of technological tools for illicit purposes.
Rad. Of course, the non-state actors use the technology very far. They use the technology in different areas. In the past, they were disrupted by the government, but now they find it easier to use all kinds of technology. They use now the encrypted technologies. The meetings are encrypted, and a lot of other users are encrypted. And there is no censorship on the cyber space. It's why we see the drug trafficking online and the weapon trafficking and even the human trafficking. So everything that is illegal is happening in the internet and in the cyberspace. So there is a cryptocurrency, there is communication, there is everything in the net. So Telegram is, for instance, making it easier for all people to and all entities to use the encrypted communication. And we know how ISIS used this Telegram in order to conduct a lot of transactions. We know that women have been trafficked using this tool, and extremist groups became more capable in achieving their objectives through the cyberspace. And we know that in 1 second, we see 1,000 new emerging accounts for these extremist groups and entities. So, with the internet, today and tomorrow, there will be more challenges to security systems.
Thank you, Dr. Ubaid. Our next question is for Dr. Ivan. Question states, which technologies could shift the global balance of power and how? What role, for example, the artificial intelligence play in shaping the global system or the balance of power?
Very challenging question. The problem here is that not the technologies, as it was mentioned earlier by my colleagues, are shifting the power balance themselves, but how we use it and how they affect our economic, political, hard and soft capabilities. From the formal point of view, of course, there is a clear synergy between the different AI solutions. Despite AI is not the technology itself, it's rather kind of a framework of different technological approaches to very different issues with the different big data and cloud solutions. So by the most studies, be it OECD, academic researchers or analytical centers, they really have the most impact on different aspects of power. And we see it from the issues of UAVs for the commercial use or so-called killer bots, and up to the digitalization of the industry. As an enhancing technology, we also see 5G and 6G and all other communications, also the quantum issues, the quantum computing, quantum communication, that may really importantly enhance the capabilities of all these big data issues. Finally, very promising considering the digital tech issues, but for a more long-term period, are the different quantum computing issues. So be it energy efficiency, because one quantum computer may substitute dozens of data centers, if not hundreds, and mainframe computers, and up to enhancing different military capabilities of superpowers. Quantum computing appears to be one of the most revolutionary technology amid the AI and other solutions for the future to come. But let me stress once again that the key issues, and Alice, this is the story of my country, for example, historically. The key issue here is not what do you invent or what do you buy, what do you have at hand, but what are the institutions and your economic and technical capabilities of using these technologies to enhance your power rather of having the best solutions.
Let us move on to our, I believe this will be our final question to Professor Mu'taz. What are the main security implications of current trends in the global technology development?
This was covered to some extent by Dr. Abeid. The security implications that we see going forward is that the next war is likely not to be fought between human beings. It's going to be fought between cyber hackers, robots, AI agents, and with, frankly, consequences that are not really clear at this point in time. With the proliferation of the technology, we're adding a lot of vulnerabilities because, quite frankly, in my experience as a technologist, I worked in big companies before. Let me tell you that security and reliability come really late into the design cycle. So people are more interested in the bells and whistles and the nice functionalities. And then we get systems that are quite fragile, and the more we actually are inserting them into mission critical applications like medical, household security, and so on, there will be opportunities that are going to be for hackers to really create a lot of mischief. And let me give you an example. In 2016, there have been a lot of political variations in the US elections that came about when a particular employee in the Democratic Party had his computer hacked, and people got into emails that potentially has changed some of the election results, according to some. This is a benign example. Going into the future, who knows what is going to happen? We are really approaching an area that is extremely dangerous, especially when you talk about artificial intelligence, because if you really look at the technology of artificial intelligence, we know when it works, but we don't know why it works. And whoever is going to figure out why it works or it doesn't work may actually get a little bit of a huge advantage over their competitors. So if we go back to what Dr. Ivan said about the competition that is going to be in the areas of economy, military, and so on, there is a lot of leverage that is going to be created by the use of technology, with consequences that we do not really understand. And the only hope for humanity going forward really is that the competitive model, say the US versus China or Europe versus whatever, this has to stop. We really need into a more global, collaborative approach, because we cannot really afford the dangers that the unobstructed use of technology is going to create.
Thank you, Professor Mu'taz. As we are now going towards the end of this discussion, I would like you to all just participate and give us your thoughts just in about 1 minute. So I would give a chance to each speaker. So let us start with Dr. Abeid. Just summarize within a minute.
Now, there are many positive aspects of the technology, but still we have to take a step back and see what are the results of these technologies and what these technologies can present to us in the future. what will happen to the security of people, of states, of the globe. Today, technology can be possessed by people and entities that can supervise, can produce this technology. It's why there should be a competition between the companies of technology in order to enhance the security. Thank you.
Dr. Ivan? Can you hear me, Dr. Ivan?
Yes, now I can. So let me proceed with the previous speaker. When I was a boy, I read one Soviet book on the philosophy of the technology development, and there was a very nice phrase that I remember still. So there definitely would be cyborgs and robots, but let us not forget about the humans. This is a very important point when we're discussing the technology. Both security and all other economic and hard power issues are of extreme importance and should be taken into account in the account. But we also should not forget about the culture, about the values, and about the humans, about the social life, about the personal life, and about the role in the future real. This is the only way to override the negative trends and challenges that we see in both digital technologies and all other technological advances now at hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Professor Mu'taz?
Thank you. I think I would reinforce what Dr. Abeid and Dr. Ivan said. We really need a lot of collaboration at the international level to really ward against some of the negative impact of using technology and make sure that the benefit and the fruits of technology are going to be made available to all humanity without either environmental implications, security implications, or societal problems. The nice thing about the market economy is that it can actually rectify itself. But every once in a while, it may need a little bit of a push in the right direction in order to ensure that the voice of those who may not really have the loudest microphone be represented into the equation, whether it's environment, security, societal issues, and so on. There are also the notion of reformulating the international organizations. I think it is very important. Dr. Ivan mentioned some of that. I believe that I am calling for something like that. The international organizations that we have right now have been a legacy of the 1940s of the last century. They no longer function in the way that we need in the 21st century with the tremendous proliferation of technology everywhere. So we definitely need a new sort of, I don't want to call it a new world order, but we definitely need new organizations that take collaborations as a mantra and move to exploit technology to benefit all of human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mu'taz. On that note, we have reached to the end of our discussion today. My sincere gratitude to all our speakers this afternoon, and thank you, viewers, for watching us and sending us your questions. Wish you all a happy afternoon, and everyone, please stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe.